I'm Gary Nickerson,
And I'm Quinn Taggart.
and this is Outside My Window. Our guest, Malcolm Seaboyer. Now, Malcolm was on the YCon Executive Committee since early 2019, and for the 2022 convention year, he has taken on the role of president. Some of his geeky hobbies include video and board gaming, Pokemon card collecting, and enjoying a number of sci-fi shows. Malcolm loves to travel and work locally at Yarmouth and Acadian Shores Tourism Association. Malcolm, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Quinn and Gary. It's great to be on the show.
Some exciting news for this year. We're going to certainly get into that, but I got to ask you, how did the idea originally come about for the YCon convention, and how long did it take you to get that all together for 2019?
Right. So it really came from the idea of celebrating the local kind of board gaming culture. Card collecting was very popular in Yarmouth and kind of grew and blossomed into this idea of a convention. There was an original committee that started the idea and then added on members like myself and got it running for 2019. And we had a great first year. We had close to 300 attendees, and we're well on our way to 2020, but of course a pandemic came in the way of that. But now we're ready to come back.
So a lot of people were probably well aware of the HalCon convention, and so how does yours compare to that, or does it really bear comparison at all?
Yeah, I'd say there's a lot of similar elements. Board gaming, video gaming, cosplay is a huge component. We had a cosplay contest in 2019 that had a youth and adult different categories, and we had right around 25 to 30 entrants in that, and I think it was a really big hit, well attended. There's panels that you can go to discover local, board game developers, cosplayers, movie and filmmakers. We really want to celebrate the local talent of Southwest Nova Scotia and beyond.
So what sort of talent is there here in the area? I mean, certainly you could consider it to be a hidden talent, but what do we have available for us?
Yarmouth and Southwest Nova Scotia is just I think, full of local entrepreneurship. So, for example, we featured Josh Robertson, who's developing board games locally in Yarmouth. He's created his own company, Winter Garden Game Design. We also featured local artist Julian Smith, who was also a panelist at HalCon last year, too. Julian's an excellent writer. And then we've also featured local cosplayers, local filmmakers such as James Turpin. That's just a kind of a handful of the great local talent that we have to showcase.
So when YarCon rolls around, is there different segments that you're trying to attract with that? You mentioned board games and cosplay and so on, but what sort of lines in the sand, I guess, can you draw on things?
Right. So I'd say we're a pretty open-ended convention, very, age-friendly. We want anyone to really come and have fun and have a good time for the weekend. We attract anything from board gaming, card collectors. We also are going to have some vendors and artists at the convention. So they'll have a wide variety of comics, board games for sale, little geeky merchandise, a little sneak peek of what you can shop for at the convention too.
So back in the day, I admit that I was a bit of a Dungeons and Dragons player.
Mm-hmm.
Is that still a thing?
Absolutely. I think it's become huge, especially in the last few years or so. Now D&D is on 5th edition, and even the technology that we have now has allowed D&D to almost evolve too, where apps like Roll20 allow players from you could have players from all over the world collaborating on one game.
They didn't electronicize the dice, did they? Oh my Lord. That was the
There
whole
is
part of
electronic
it.
dice.
Oh no.
I play myself. I'm still an old school dice roller. I love the feel of the dice rolling on the table. But yeah, that's a great way for anyone to kind of play. So D&D also will be a component of the convention. We want to have some games where people could potentially just drop in to play, maybe a D&D themed panel, things like that. So D&D is also going to be a big component of our convention.
So some of the board games are more campaign oriented and can take quite a while to kind of roll through. So, for a con, I would imagine that you're trying to highlight some of the shorter playtime games. But give us a sense of the types of games and some titles that probably I won't recognize, but I know a lot of our listeners might.
Sure. We're going to have quite a library of games at 2019. Or sorry, from 2019 we had a large library, and we want to expand that in 2022. There will be a mix of longer and shorter themed board games. For kind of shorter themed games, you could expect things like Monopoly, Settlers of Catan, Ticket to Ride are some popular games. And then if you go for sort of a longer scale, you can play, Betrayal at House on the Hill, and which could take, 4 to 6 hours. And some of these games, Twilight Imperium, another game, for example, that could be played. So we want to have a good mix. We also want to have card games that are, fun, maybe shorter card games that you can just pick up and play quickly while you're waiting for a panel. Let's say like Exploding Kittens or something of that nature. So yeah, we want to have a large library of games that's also focused on cooperative. Whether it's there's cooperative games, competitive, and gathering people around the table to have a good time is the core of the wargaming.
Is there an electronic component to that? And online or video game style setup that goes
Mhm.
with any of these?
Yeah, so we want to also have potentially electronic versions of board games, but also have video games on display that people can play, such as Mario Kart, Super Smash Bros, maybe Halo.
Now you're talking a few that I recognize.
Right on.
Monopoly as well. That's certainly one
Yeah,
of the ones that I definitely remember.
yeah. So we want to have a good kind of wealth of games to appeal to anyone, and there'll be a few tournaments too. Maybe look out for Pokemon card tournaments, Super Smash Bros tournaments. Just a few ideas that we're working on. So it's going to be exciting.
Malcolm, do gaming and comics appeal to a wide or broad range of people, ages? Tell us about that if you could.
Sure, happy to, Gary. I think it really does. There's something a little bit for everyone. There's of course with comics, you've got your Marvel versus DC. That battle rages on, and then that grew into movies and popular culture. You have Marvel Lego now. You have video games, uh, Halloween costumes. There's something for everyone to kind of grab onto. Um, and sometimes I think that these, characters from a comic book or a movie can also kind of attach you to um, maybe your own personal story. That's what I think. Maybe someone's, um, if you just trying to think of an example offhand, Captain America, for example, kind of the scrawny kid that gets beefed up and you know and fights enemies, and maybe somebody could relate to that, where they think they're maybe not the greatest person in the world, but Steve Rogers, Captain America, speaks to them and inspires them. I think that that's a great element too of what comics offer.
For 2 years and then some, this pandemic, Malcolm, has really kept people inside.
Hmm.
A lot of people are afraid to go out and all of that. Do you think in some way that situation perhaps has brought more people into either gaming or comics?
I think so. I know how hard these last 2 years have been for everyone, not being able to see family, loved ones, and the risk of the pandemic. So I think, especially early on in the pandemic, people were looking for new things to do inside. So board games, video games, you know, um, while unfortunately maybe local shops weren't open, people still consumed them, online ordering and discovered them. And now that we can open our local shops again, now that people have that foothold in, let's say, D&D or Pokemon cards, they can go to their local shop and continue to expand their interests, which is great. There's been a real push for how do I think here, to reconnect. I think over these past few years of the pandemic, a push to grow, and we want to be part of that. We want to bring our community back together, and also welcome visitors to Southwest Nova Scotia and beautiful Yarmouth and Acadian Shores for a fun weekend of board gaming and lots more.
What sort of draw does the con bring in? I mean, I realize you're only really looking at 19, but I mean, is it something that's tri-counties? Is it Southwest Nova?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say a good portion of our visitors and attendees were first from Southwest Nova Scotia, but we also have vendors and attendees from further around the province, from Halifax, from the Valley, from the South Shore as well, and with fingers crossed, we have our international ferry link returning too in May. There might be some people that maybe come to the convention from the U.S. They come on the Cat Ferry, and there's conveniently a convention happening at the hotel they're staying at, right? So that's our hope. We would love to, as far as attendance, it's hard to predict, but I'd love to reach over 300 people this year. We were very, very close in 2019. So I'm confident we can get there.
How has social media helped bring this all together?
It's really helped us create an online community for people to find out about what's happening with YCon, promote our events, not only the large convention that we are planning for the June 3rd to 5th weekend, but our smaller video game and board games days are also seasonal events. We held one back in the fall of 2021. That was at the Yarmouth County Museum and featured an afternoon of board gaming. And the museum was also incredible in creating an escape room themed around a board game, which was incredible too. So with social media, that allows us to showcase those items to our audience and new people too, through the Facebook events feed, for example, or people searching for things to do in Yarmouth on Instagram or Twitter. And we also have our website too, yarmouthcon.com. So that also is a nice central hub for people to go and find out what's happening, or sign up to volunteer, become a vendor, or sponsor the event.
The first YCon convention in 2019 was hugely successful.
Thanks, Gary.
Yeah. And did you have people coming in who knew absolutely nothing about gaming or comics, and maybe heard and saw about the convention, thought, go check this out?
Yeah, we had a few people like that, and that was great. This was some people's first convention as well, which was great to hear. I think it was a great success. It was a lot of fun. That was the core of it, and that's what we want to get back to in 2022. Yeah.
Nothing like this, a convention or anything, could be put on without sponsors. And I know you've said many times how appreciative you were to all the sponsors. Can you talk about that, please?
Absolutely. Sponsors are a huge component of running any event, and we appreciate all of their support. We will be launching our our sponsor and vendor packages very soon too, for people that are looking to potentially sponsor the 2022 event. We'd be more than interested to have you on board. Some of our past sponsors include McDonald's Yarmouth, Kim's Custom Embroidery, Jungle Gyms, Ignite Labs Yarmouth, Dooley's, Jake's Diner, Coastal Financial, Dairy Queen, Jungle Gyms, Boston Pizza, Gator Bites, and a few more. Yeah, it's a great opportunity, and we'd love to have more sponsors on board. Yeah, you can go to yarmouthcon.com to find out more details and help get on board.
On the flip side of that, of course, an event like this does not take place without volunteers.
Yeah, the volunteers are also another huge bread and butter to the event. And I'd like to thank you again from the past, all of our 2019 volunteers, anyone that's helped out, and even our board and executive committee is all volunteer run as well. So a huge shout out to my team for all the help. It's really, I say my team, but it's a group effort. I couldn't do it without anyone else. A lot of people behind the scenes making this happen. Volunteers, again, a huge component to helping out run tournaments, set up the venue, work the canteen and admission. And we'd love to have more volunteers for this year. So you can head to yarmouthcon.com to sign up to become a volunteer. We also have a cool little volunteer incentive. So if you volunteer for 4 hours in the convention, we'll give you a free day pass. And if you volunteer for 8 hours, we'll let you in for the entire weekend pass as your contribution to the convention. So,
have you signed on any panel guests yet? Can you give us a preview of anything of what to expect?
Yeah, that's exciting. I love the panels. Really great local talent showcasing what they can do. So right now we have hopefully Tim Doucette from the Deep Sky Eye Observatory locally here in Quinn in Nova Scotia. So Tim will be coming to give his kind of an insight into astronomy, maybe the geeky side of sci-fi connected to his astrology, his astronomy knowledge. And if you haven't checked out the Deep Sky Observatory too, great place to go stargazing and just experience the night sky. So Tim will hopefully be there, and we're hopefully going to have Josh Robertson back as well too, our local board game developer, and he'll showcase some of his progress. He might have some board game demos happening, which is great. And then hopefully we'll have some of those guests from last time, like we mentioned. Cosplayers, Julian Smith. Yeah, that's all in the works, and we'll keep our schedule updated as we go along towards June.
Does comics play a fairly large role in the con? Because I mean, when people think Comic-Con, then of course comics comes into it. But like, what's sort of the mix between board games, cosplay, comics, etc. Are we looking at?
I'd say it's overall a pretty good mix. Fairly evenly spread across board gaming, cosplay, comics, panelists. Yeah, a little bit of something for everyone. So if you're a comic enthusiast, we'll have comic vendors that you could shop at. In 2019, we had Tony White, who was the author of Captain Canuck. He was also a guest at 2019, and hopefully he'll be able to come back. So we have writers, and then the comic inspiration, that people draw from, whether it's Marvel, and then they draw that inspiration into their cosplay will be present. Yeah, it's a little bit of everything, and it's going to be a good, geeky, fun weekend.
Obviously, Malcolm, you and the others on the committee want to see this YCon continue to grow, especially as the COVID restrictions are gradually phased out. How do you market this thing?
Right. So for marketing the event, we're going to have some marketing on social media, online on our website, connections with the radio locally to help spread the word. Through our little pop-up seasonal events too. That's how we can help market the convention. Yeah, those are just a few of the ways. You'll probably see some posters around Yarmouth and all that good stuff. So, yeah.
Give us again the dates.
Sure. So it's going to be June 3rd, which is a Friday, to June 5th, which is Sunday, first weekend in June.
Excellent. And does it run all day? What's your venue?
So we'll be at the Rod Grand Hotel and Convention Center, which big shout out to them as well for being the host venue. We can't wait to host the event there. So we're going to be opening the doors just around 5 o'clock. We're at 5 o'clock on the Friday. Look for 4:30 actually for VIP early access ticket holders. So we're going to have a few limited quantities of early access tickets that you can come in and 4:30 and shop a little early. So yeah, we'll be the evening of Friday from 5 onwards, almost all day Sunday and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. Saturday, and then wrap up 5 p.m. on Sunday.
So for the panels and everything else, are they able to sign in online or pre-register for the panels? Is that how it's going to work?
So right now, for our panel schedules, we will have them posted online as they come up. Right now, we don't anticipate needing to pre-sign up for the panel, especially, but definitely get your ticket as early as you can once they go live. We're hoping to go live in March with our ticket sales, is the estimate. So, but if we see the ticket sales are high, we might have to put in pre-registration for panels to ensure your seat. Maybe that's just part of maybe the eventual growth of the con. We've definitely laid out a floor plan that'll have plenty of seating and space for people to enjoy the panels. So yeah, that's the plan.
Tell me about Pokemon card collection. Now, I'm going to show my ignorance here, Malcolm, and I apologize. I didn't think that was still a thing. Educate and enlighten me, please.
No worries. So, yeah, Pokemon card collecting is I'd say actually almost as big as ever. It's amazing how long it's gone on since the original sets of cards back in the late '90s through to now. There's been continuous set releases, people building collections. Myself, I had a little collection when I was a kid, but nothing ever really came of it. But I would say I'm almost partly from that pandemic, looking from a hobby. I picked up a box of cards and a deck from Mythic Games in Yarmouth and went from there. And now my collection's thousands of cards, probably. Really fun to get together with, fun game to play with friends. So yeah, it's just as big as ever. And I'd look for Pokemon card vendors at our convention, hopefully a tournament for players. So that's our plan with Pokemon cards, and it's never gone away. It's still booming. It's in its 25th anniversary of Pokemon now, so really exciting times if you're a Pokemon collector.
Do you think, say, the television show Big Bang Theory kind of spiked a few interests?
Yeah, I think so too. That really took kind of the geeky, nerdy culture and popularized it, really showcased it in a comedic fashion. And I think in a way, sometimes in a way almost normalized it. If people, thought, I'm a fan of this movie and I'm nervous to be a fan of that. Maybe Big Bang Theory showed that it's okay to show your fandom, as we say, for a certain thing. We want, people at YCon that are fans of comics, sci-fi, anime, Pokemon, you name it. Big Bang Theory, I think, was really a huge show, not only from a comedic standpoint, but from showcasing the nerd and geek culture on a large scale.
Then you have Gary from Iron Man 3, which is which is a little bit of the extreme end of the geekydom. And some people will get that reference and some people might not. But I think that for myself, I mean, I played D&D back in the original, the original release.
Right on.
I don't know what you call that now, whether it's Legacy or First Edition or whatever it is that you want to call it. But back then there was no computers, there's no internet. You're dealing with your friends and their knowledge and their base, and it's a very narrow popularity. and
Mhm.
and now it just seems like things have just exploded. And the online side is one thing, but being able to reach a much wider audience, and the fact that the geeks and the nerds of the world are now cool. Talk a little bit about that for a second, because I mean, how did
Yeah,
that happen? I missed that somewhere.
yeah. In a way, it just exploded. Like you said, maybe the Big Bang Theory, showed it off. Um, you can go to maybe your not even a local store or a chain store and see T-shirts or paraphernalia of the Big Bang Theory, of Marvel movies, DC. Um, the iconic Batman logo, for example. You see that it's almost a status symbol in a way. Um, yeah, really, the side of being a geek and side of being a nerd has really become cool, and it's exploded with the movies and Big Bang Theory and all that. Yeah,
So what can we look forward to about YCon in the next little while? What are some of your milestone dates and things for
hmm
us to kind of pay attention to?
absolutely. So we're hosting again. We have to be fluid with the COVID protocols, but we're going to host March 26th, 2022, from noon till 10, Board Game and Video Games Day. And so that's just one day. Come out and have some fun playing board and video games. That'll be at Jacob's Loft Event Center, which is above the funeral home on the corner of Stars and Main across from McDonald's. So it'll be a wide variety of board games and video games to play there. So that's a kind of a fun one-off day event in the lead up to the convention. Look for ticket sales going live in March. If you're interested in being a vendor or sponsor, those packages will be out very soon too. And we're hosting volunteer signups ongoing, and all that can be found at yarmouthcon.com.
Excellent. So I think the first thing you talked about, of course, was the gaming day, and in between that and when the event happens, are you going to actively pursue or market into the U.S. given that the Cat Ferry is looking to resume service?
Maybe a little bit. I see our marketing still very much focusing on Southwest Nova Scotia and the province more as a whole. But there might be a little bit of marketing opportunity with the Cat Ferry too. Bringing people in that weekend, and then they can check out the convention too. I'd say, but yeah, the bulk of our marketing and push will be in the province for right now, as we grow and kind of get our feet back. It's been a few years since we've hosted this event. Um, so yeah, that's our plan.
Let's remind folks that this year's YCon convention is going to be June 3rd to the 5th. That's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Rod Grand Hotel. And how can folks find more information? Or maybe they'd like to help out. Maybe they're an enthusiast to gaming or comics and want to help out volunteering.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. We can't wait to host the event. It's coming up quick, and we're well underway in planning. So our website is yarmouthcon.com, and you can find us also on Facebook by searching YCon Gaming and Comics Convention. All our information is on our website and social media pages on how you can sign up to be a volunteer, sponsor, vendor, and learn more about the panels and schedules and games that are coming up.
Malcolm, again, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And best of luck coming up this June.
Yes, thanks so much, Gary and Quinn. It's really appreciated. Thanks for having me, and we hope you can come by the convention too.
We certainly will look forward to it.
Sounds great.
I'm Gary Nickerson,
And I'm Quinn Taggart.
and this has been Outside My Window.